Okay, hopefully you had a chance to review all of that information about what a citation is and what it includes. All sources are going to be different though, so I have some guides for you because the simplest way, you may come across a complex source, and if I tell you just the simplest details that it needs, there may be some issues that come up with your particular source. So the first one I'm going to look at is this citation style guide, and this is part of Arkansas State's website. So I'm going to go to Arkansas State's website now. And I'm right here on Blackboard. And on Blackboard, we have a link to the Arkansas Library. When I click on this link, it takes me to our library page. And one of the things we have on our library page, this is everything that Jonesboro has access to, and we get free access to this as well, is down here, they have different research guides. So when I click on the research guides, it brings me to this page, and I can look at them by subject. The topic that I'm concerned about right now is research, but there are guides in library guides on all kinds of different sources. So there could be a lot of things that help you depending on your field here. I'm particularly concerned about research right now. And so we've got all of these different guides to help us, how to do image searches, how to spot fake news, resources for composition. The one that I'm concerned about though is citation, because that's what we're working on right now. So when I click on the citation style guide, it brings me to this page, and I've got little tabs across the top. It kind of explains what a citation is, what the references page should look like, information about the different sources. And each source has its own tab. So I'm going to go to the APA source. They have a little note about capitalization here, but the main things that I'm looking at are the bottom two squares, this one and this one. So they explain all of the things that you need for a citation, and then they give you an example. And they have the example for how you cite books, how you cite online books. Journals are pretty common, but it's still kind of the same thing, like the last name, the initial, the date, the title, the name of the journal, which means the periodical, the magazine, or the newspaper, and then what pages you used. If you got your journal online, then it's got a different set of format. For this class, we're probably mostly using websites, so this is what I went by. Name, initial. And one of the key pieces of information here is that if there's no author, if you can't find the author on the website, then you should use the name of the organization. And I think that's a good tip. That's important to know. The next piece of information was the date. And they've got another little tip here that says if there's no date, then you need to abbreviate that, N for no and D for date. And it should be lowercase like that. The title, and if there's no title, again, use the name of the organization. Finally, the website name, if it's the same as the author, leave it off, and then the link. So they have an example here. So I think that this is basically 90% of the information you will need to cite any source. I like that they have this little box down here as well that shows you how the paper needs to be formatted. Formatted just means how it looks on the page. Where is everything placed and how far apart does it need to be so that we have a standard. So this is what the actual body of your essay will look like. You need to have a header, you need to have a title, you could have subheadings. It tells you all about the fonts to use. It tells you how your header should be. It tells you about your title. All APA papers need to have a title page, and they explain exactly what the title page looks like. It's got a different header, and it has this information. But the part we're talking about today is the references list. So all of the sources you use are going to be on the last page of your essay. You're going to write the word references there, and you'll just list them in alphabetical order. So again, you have the author, the date, the title, the website that it came from, and then if it was from a journal, the page numbers. If it was not from a journal, you're probably putting the link there. So this gives you a picture to reference so that you know exactly what it's supposed to look like. There is a weird thing with the references page where they're not indented. Usually the first line is indented, but on the citations, the second line is indented. And they explain here how to create that indent. Normally you would type it and everything would be flush with the left margin here, but they show you how to make the hanging indent so that it shows up like this. Okay, so this is a guide that you can access anytime you want to. And the very next video that I'm going to do is just showing you how to cite a video because that's what we're doing for this essay. So stay tuned for the very next video. If you want to spend some time looking at the research guides, that's a great idea to do right now. And I will see you in a bit.